Singing songs. We can sing songs. Welcome, everybody. Hey, welcome to the RenoFam podcast. My name is Joey, and this podcast is designed to help equip parents to be the spiritual leaders of their home. This podcast comes with a disclaimer, and it's a big one. I am no expert.
Boom.
I don't want anybody to think I'm an expert, right? I'm just out here telling you all my knowledge. That's not the case. I'm no expert at all, but I do want to get better. The problem is we are all so busy being parents that we don't take the time to dig for the info we need to get better. So in this podcast, we will ask questions and find the support we are looking for so we can be the parents God has called us to be.
I like it.
The RenoFam podcast is a ministry of Renovation Church in Hampstead, North Carolina.
Hampstead.
Be
clear about that.
Be very clear. It's in Hampstead. It's a place you've never heard of if you're listening from outside of Hampstead.
But you should.
You definitely should. You definitely should. Today on the RenoFam podcast, we have Pete Hixson. Pete is a certified business coach with Business Made Simple. He is also a private workshop facilitator and a coach with StoryBrand. Pete has served in ministry as a youth pastor and then a lead pastor for a total of 23 years. He's a regular teaching pastor here at Renovation and many other churches. Pete is married to his amazing wife, Hollie.
I am.
And has two teenage daughters, Hope and Addie.
Right.
Pete and Hollie drive a time machine because somehow they haven't aged in the last 20 years. As an avid fan of Rick Astley, Pete will never give you up, let you down,
That
run around, or desert you, people. And that is why he's here with us today. Pete, so glad to have you, man. Welcome to the show.
It's so good to be here. I love it. Nice little intro there. By the way, can I just say one thing?
Yes. You can say more than one thing if you want.
Okay, I will say a couple things. But
Okay.
first of all, the time machine thing, we only learn like how to try and stay young from our mentor couple, John and Tita Cockrell.
I know.
Those people have not aged an ounce in any way, not in any format. I don't know how they do it.
Age reversal almost.
Exactly.
Especially when John used to rock the I was going bald, but I wasn't ready to let it all go. Those pictures.
I
When you guys met,
hope he watches / listens to this.
he usually does. Yeah, I mean, when you guys first met, so go back. How did you get connected to Renovation, Pastor John? Give us some of that real quick.
So when Hollie and I were, first of all, John's brother Thad and I knew each other in college at Liberty University.
Okay, LU,
baby! Shout
Flames
out to the Flames up, and it can only go up from here. But anyway,
yeah, that's the truth.
True. It's a shame what's happened, but great school. We loved it. But Thad and I knew each other in college, and then when Hollie and I got married in 1997, we moved to Wake Forest, North Carolina, and I was finishing my undergrad and moving into my graduate school at Southeastern.
Okay.
Thad came over one night and said, "Okay, I want to introduce you to my brother." And Hollie and I were brand new married, like a few days married. Mm-hmm. And he's like, they got a few kids. And we're like, we're not going to get along with people that have kids. We don't even, they became our best friends. Yeah. And we did everything together, and it was just incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was in 97, Wake Forest, North Carolina. So we've just been friends ever since, followed each other's journeys. And obviously when they started Renovation, we've got their back and along the way.
That's it. You've been here the whole time.
I've been here the whole time.
It's been awesome, bringing you into the family of Renovation Church, because I knew you before Renovation Church. And a matter of fact, like one of my, I don't know if it was like the first time we met.
Joe Dog.
But man, I was like a huge Toby Mac fan.
Yeah,
and
baby.
You took me to
Joby
Toby
Mac is
concert.
what we called you.
It didn't. You had it all set up, man. We had a room with food and the whole thing. Man.
I remember that.
I was super impressed, and I was like super sheltered. I don't know if you remember this. You guys remember, so we had gotten a hotel, and I thought it was for me and John.
Yes.
I'm like 17 years old. I don't even think I'd never stayed by myself in a hotel.
Yep.
We roll up to the hotel, and John's like, "All right, man,
Get
grab
out.
your bags." And it was like this: close the door, and it's like, "Skirt!" Boom, and he was gone.
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh well."
I remember laughing. He was like, "Yep, Joey's at the hotel by himself." And I don't know why it just struck me funny. I was like, "There's Joey just sitting in the hotel room by himself."
But I don't know what you guys did, but you guys had a good time.
Oh yeah,
though.
and I remember that concert. It was a friend of ours that had that suite that allowed us to use it, and the guy that was always back there, if I remember right, his name was Wallace, and he was just back there. We struck up the best conversation, me and you and him, and then going out there and seeing Toby Mac, man.
It was awesome. That was yeah.
That was when your name was Joby Mac.
You know, I've had many names in the past, but speaking of names, dude, Rick Astley, huh? Tell me your favorite Rick Astley memory.
Well, I mean, my favorite Rick Astley memory was just a couple of years ago. So, for those of you that don't know who Rick Astley is, you would likely know the song. You are on the spot.
I'm on the spot,
Johnny. On the spot.
I think we have to keep talking over it, or I might get fined by
start
YouTube.
Moving. I mean, that's true. All right, we'll just keep talking.
But
so that song came out in 1987.
Yeah.
I was like a junior in high school.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was not a junior in high school. I was a junior in high school in 1992. But in 87, when that kind of hit, like 8th grade was a big deal. And it was just something about Rick Astley. And my wife gets comments from people all the time. They're like, hey, is Pete seriously, like, is it for real? Is it a joke? And she's like, unfortunately, it's real. Fortunately, it's real. Like, the guy doesn't expire. You talk about a time machine.
Yeah, he looks great.
He looks great.
Yeah.
He sounds great. He embraces all of the Rickroll. Like, he takes all of the funny, hilarious, like kind of take jabs. And he has absolutely owned it, which is what makes me love the man even more.
I got a picture right here.
Oh,
you went and saw him, right?
This is my favorite
it's
memory.
You and
me, Hollie, and Rick Astley right there. So this was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We were living in Columbus, Ohio.
I love it.
All of a sudden, he's popping up with a concert, and I'm like, we have to go. And I was so excited.
This is God at work. I mean,
you can't tell right here. It was literally like below zero, freezing cold outside. And my wife was like, I'm going back to the hotel. And I said, you can leave. And even if this causes one of those 1 month long fights, I'm staying out here by his bus until I get a photo with him. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, he stepped out of the bus and I got my photo. And I literally, like, when we embraced, I got to hug him first. And I was like, in my mind, I just was like one of those Tommy boy, brothers don't shake hands, right. Brothers got to hug moments. And it just was there.
It was there.
The connection was there.
It's so good.
The vibe was there.
This was pre-COVID, too, because you never would have had that. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't have had it, but
I can't hug Rick Astley today.
I would have tried.
I know you would have.
100%.
Yeah. And you might have got arrested.
I might have got arrested, but it'd be worth it, man.
Worth it. You take that certificate of arrest and put it on your wall. See this one right here? This is when I tried to hug Rick Astley.
Trophy.
Man, so good, man. So good to have you on here.
That's my favorite.
I love it. We all got to have that artist or that person that we're like, man, they just, every time I
Some people watching or listening to this are thinking, we actually know I'm not that weird. But
yeah. But if he showed up right here, you'd ditch this podcast, wouldn't you?
I mean, yes.
I would just.
You would understand.
I mean, I would. All right. So let's talk, man. Last night we had an amazing event that took place right here.
Yes, we did.
In this room. So last night we broke it down and then we set it up for a studio for the podcast. But we had our first RenoFam workshop, and we worked on creating a family mission statement. This was a first for us. Yep. This was a first for you. Yep. So let's just talk through, just share last night. What were some of your biggest takeaways as we had our event last night?
Yeah. So just to kind of set it up, we have this framework as a part of Business Made Simple that is teaching companies how to create a compelling mission statement, which includes a set of guiding principles. What's your mission statement? What are your key characteristics, which means who do you need to become to accomplish it? What are your critical actions, which is what do you need to do to accomplish that mission? Mm-hmm. What's your theme, which is just the bottom line, and your why? And then what's your story? We call this a story pitch, but for last night it was what's your family story? And it's kind of just combining all of that. So we've been talking for about a year of just going, how do we bring this to families? And last night we did it. We just took those principles, concepts, readjusted it some. So definitely want to give credit to whom credit is due. This is the framework is owned by Business Made Simple, Don Miller. And so, but we just formatted it for families, and it was incredible. First of all, just seeing all these couples, young couples showing up, some with little kids. I want to say maybe some with not kids yet. I'm not positive, but they just are drawn to this. I met a guy last night named Jerome, been in the military for over 20 years. He said, I understand the concept of mission. I understand the importance of having a mission statement. I've done that my whole life. He said, but not once in my life have I ever thought about having this for my family.
Yeah, yeah.
And, he came up like almost emotional afterwards saying more people need to do this. So the exercise itself, like I would say my biggest takeaway is just creating a conversation around multiple tables where couples are writing things on paper and sharing things out loud about what their family's about. Was powerful.
Yes.
Then watching them connect with one another, some stories of certain families who are both touched by the special needs community, other families that are touched by the military family, others that have some, foster care. And that's a big point, and, we may get to more of this later, but, a compelling mission must solve a problem.
Right. Yeah.
Many families were coming not knowing what to expect, right?
Sure. Yeah, I would say most of them.
Yeah, most.
Just like
most.
We don't really know.
Nobody knows because this is just a concept that's not, very familiar. And when you think about writing a mission statement, most companies, if an individual has something, like it really is, and understandably, it's like all about them. Here's what I am. Here's who I'm about. This is the da-da-da-da. Well, that's why nobody remembers it, because it's boring.
Yeah. It's on a wall somewhere.
It just sits there, and it's like, this is all about us.
Yeah.
But a true mission has to solve someone else's problem. So creating a conversation where couples are talking about what are they going to do together. Imagine future conversations with themselves, with their kids.
Yeah.
It actually eliminates time to argue over one another's differences and opinions. Boy, we could use that in our country right now. If we started just focusing our energies on solving other problems versus our opinions and things that we like and things that we don't like. So I'm just, imagining some things in families that are going to be better because we're just changing the conversation a little bit to outward. And I love it for a church, and hopefully I can say this on the podcast. I've been in church ministry my whole adult career.
Yeah, you're Pastor Pete, man.
Hey, man, we'll tell
Pastor Pete.
It sounds like someone told me once, like, that sounds like a Veggietale. I'm like, if we could create a Veggietale.
Hi, I'm Pastor Pete. Pastor Pete the strawberry.
You're doing the voiceover. Somehow I'm the strawberry. Is that what it is?
Yeah, Pastor Pete's a strawberry.
Pastor Pete's a strawberry.
He's not like the other veggies. He's a strawberry. He's bright, fun.
Most of them, in fact, all of them are vegetables. He's a fruit.
He's a fruit.
He's a fruit. All right, Pastor Pete is not a Veggietale. He's a fruit tail.
You can tell I don't eat vegetables because the first thing I went to was the fruit.
Strawberry. You're like, so it's a Veggietale. He's a strawberry. Strawberry's now a Veggietale.
Pastor Joey's a T-bone steak with heart problems.
That's right.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
But, in the church context, and listen, we all do this. It's funny, like when I go to the gym and I walk away and I'm like, oh, I like that instructor. Or it's like, oh, they didn't have this out there. I like this, or that was really good. Or this. We become critical to things around us, and when we just have time to think about it. And people become critical in churches. It's not deep enough. It's not this. And I wish they would have this. And why don't we have this? Well, what if everyone who was engaged with the church was actually about what the church was about, which was mission focused? You don't have time to sit around and worry about what they're not giving you, and getting people focused on mission. Like, this goes beyond families, but we were able to bring it into a family context, create some conversations, watch some connections happen around the table, and we just really sensed a compelling need to do this more. So it was the test run. It was the inaugural class of the first family workshop. Yeah. And by the way, you and your team killed it. You guys prepared for it. It was set up so well. You set the table, like, literally and figuratively so well, just to prepare for people. The materials were so well done, and I'm just excited about what it can do for other families and other places. Yeah, I have to say, first off, 100%, I get to serve along some of the greatest people in ministry. And it was, hey, here's the vision. And then they made it happen. It was Andrea and Jackie, and then the space looked amazing because of Brittany did such a great job. Pate. I'm going to put her link in the show notes. She does events and weddings and all kinds of stuff. Fantastic. She really made this place look amazing. And Alex stepping in, graphic content, things for families to actually take with them. The resources we gave. It was just a full. A really great experience altogether, and everybody coming. But I think you're so right, and that's one of the things I wanted to kind of close up with, right? As church people, we're really good at intake.
We're really good at here's what the Bible says to do. Okay, so but it's to go. Like we like to know part.
Right.
We like to know. Okay, I know that. I know that. I know. Okay, now you have to go do this.
Right.
And when people came in, I think a lot of people came in, and it's understandable. Like, I'm going to create a mission statement that this is who we are.
Right.
This is what we're about.
Yep.
And that's kind of
I liked your example last night. Give us your example.
It's like I felt like I was coming in here going, Todd, son of Dennis, son of William, son of, to forever hold the reins of truth and freedom at our estate, and then like, amen, and God bless the Todd family, right? And that's because that's what we see most mission statements are, right? They're just, we're this, and this. But to take that and go, okay, if it comes down to loving my neighbor as myself, right? James says, show me your faith, right? Well, let's look at your works, right? Doing something, being on mission. This is how we put feet to it. And our families grow as a result of it.
Well, even that example you gave of family, like that is, it instills pride and its nobility and its loyalty and it's maybe true and right. Mm-hmm. And those are good things. I think so often the church is focused on those things rather than being helpful. Yeah. Rather than being like, what difference can I make? What impact can I make in others? Life and every story and every movie is boring if it's just all about you.
And shouldn't it be that believers in Christ are the problem solvers in our world?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, right? If we serve a God who overcame the problem of sin, the greatest problem in the world, shouldn't we, as people made in the image of God, be the best at problem solving? Yeah. And if I can begin this with my family, right, through creating a mission together, this is what we do, this is what we're about, we're going to solve this problem, be a part of solving this problem. When I do that with my family, my kids grow up and they look at the world from the position of a problem solver, not from the position of over-opinionated whiners.
Right.
I mean, and that's everywhere in culture. Everybody has a problem with everything, but nobody's stepping up to do it. I think as Christians, we should be the problem solvers in business. We should be the problem solvers in government. We should be the problem solvers in all of the spheres of who we are. Right. Because that's what Jesus did for us.
And, Saturday, a few days ago, Renovation Church did a big serve day. I don't know how often do you do those, a couple times a year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And churches do this, and it's great, and I did it, and we did it, But imagine a world where we're not reliant upon the church to say, hey, everybody, let's go serve our community. And families around kitchen tables are talking about the next project because they understand how to create a mission, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why the framework is so helpful. It could be long-term or more ambiguous not ambiguous, but just more of an umbrella. Yeah. Like our family lives like this and does these things because we care about these people. Yeah. But it can also be short-term, state the problem. The problem is there's kids in our community who are not going to have a great Christmas. Our family is going to do a garage sale and give the proceeds away to X organization who's going to buy presents for kids at Christmas this year so they can have a happy and whatever Christmas. So we're putting problem, solution, result into a short-term mission for our family, right? We don't have to travel across the seas to do this. We don't have to raise a huge campaign to do this. Right. In fact, Jesus said, you are the fundraising campaign. You you have all the equipment you need. Just go do it. Yeah. And I think that's the encouraging thing I love about just seeing these conversations, and imagine a day where we're not relying upon the church to say, hey, everybody, let's go serve. And they're just literally bringing projects to the table going, look at what we're doing right now. Yeah. Our family's engaged in. And it's personal to people. Sure. The examples we heard last night, they were personal to people. Yeah, I mean, and we can jump right into that. Just real quick, when you spoke 2 weeks ago, and we were kind of touching, you made a big statement. You said, having direction gives you a mission. Right. Having mission gives you meaning. Mm-hmm. So unpack that idea for us a bit, and then we'll look at some of the mission statements that they're probably still working on them today, right? Here's what we got so far, but unpack that part for us. Having direction gives you a mission. Having mission gives you meaning. Right. I think everyone who has any influence in leading a family wants their family to have a meaningful experience at the end of it all, right? We're thinking with the end in mind. That's what the whole series was about. And in order to get there to that destination of a meaningful family experience, we need to have a clear direction, which means which way are we going to go? We need direction. Direction offers clarity. I just define direction as mission. It's something to do, right?
Yep.
So these are the things that we're going to do. And the phrase having, direction gives you mission, having mission gives you meaning comes from this idea that an individual named Viktor Frankl wrote about through his horrific experience, but very enlightening experience through the Holocaust. He survived it. His family did not. His friends did not.
Wow.
And he wrote about his observations as a psychologist by watching. And the whole point of logotherapy, which I'm not an expert in, nor so I'm not going to talk a ton about it, but it just sticks with me to understand, is that people who have something to do and wake up knowing what they're there to do experience far more meaning in life, even if they don't accomplish it.
Right.
Even if they don't get there, but they have something to do every day.
Yeah.
So the significance of having something that you are living for is meaning in and of itself.
So he saw those that had a mission every day.
Right.
Were the ones that survived.
They woke up, they had something to do.
They kept
knew
going.
They didn't live in this, hey, it's going to work out. They didn't try to think about that. They weren't overly optimistic about it. It was just, listen, every day I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I feel and believe that I've got significance because I've got this to do. And they focused on that. And I think that's, in the time we're living in right now, where so much uncertainty, you guys have talked about this on the podcast and messages recently and whatnot, it's all about the significance and meaning you can find with what you have to do right now.
Yeah.
And I think, that's something we need right now in our world, and I think families need it. So it's a powerful concept.
Absolutely. And so the first part of what we worked through in this exercise was coming up with that mission statement. And so tell us what the mission statement is and its point, and then we'll read some of these because I thought some of these were great last night.
Yeah, I mean, a compelling mission has to solve a problem.
Yeah, so
that's the big idea of a mission statement.
Yeah,
that's why most of them are boring and nobody remembers them, because they're not solving a problem. It's just like, this is what we're here for. This is what we do. It's like, great. What problem are you solving?
Yeah. So it's broken down into the three
components.
So we're going to identify a problem,
right?
And then
solution,
then
result.
And as a result, these things will happen.
So because this is happening, we do this so that this happens.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the structure.
Here's a few last night. Here's a mission statement for those of you trying to contextualize what we're talking about here. So our family sat down, we gave them some time to work through this. And it's a lot. I mean, and me and my wife, we walked away. We didn't have it finalized.
It's heavy mental, emotional lifting.
It is heavy
really
lifting.
is.
And I don't care really where you're coming from, because, it's like some people, well, maybe we're on two different pages. Tanya and I struggled. Here's the reality. Here's me being a little transparent. I believe that Tanya and I struggled with this because we are so alike. We grew up in the same school systems. We grew up in the same churches. Literally the way we think, 95% of things that come at us, we're on. Like, we both see it the same way.
Yep.
We had to sit down last night and go, what do you see as a problem? What do I see as a problem? How do we bring this together and make mission out of it? I mean, it was difficult. It was heavy lifting, and it forced us not to just coast on who we are as people. That we get, that we see things most of the time the same way.
Right.
We had to really dig into this. So here were some mission statements that came up last night. And this was the first one. The first one here is, came from a military family. And this is what it says: because military families arrive to new communities feeling isolated and disconnected. So there's the problem. We welcome and invite others and remove common barriers like childcare and finances, so that families can thrive in the community.
Dude, that was one of my favorite ones. I was about to jump out of my skin when I heard them. So after each section, really. Yeah. After each section, we let people say, does anybody want to share theirs? And we had coaches and staff walking around facilitating it. That's exactly it.
Yeah. This is why I say I am no expert. Because I sat through this thing and I was still trying to figure out. We're 20 minutes in and she presents that and I was like, oh wow.
I know. I had our family one on the board. I'm like, theirs deserves to be on the board. Like, that's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And you bring up a good point too. I think, even for you and Tanya, I mean, it's, hey, go with something that's a short term that you both go, this is what we're going to do right now. And then eventually you can build out kind of your overarching umbrella family mission. it's not about something right or wrong or the best mission. And that was why I try to encourage people. And it is impossible to do this within an hour, although those people overcame the impossible and did a killer mission statement that was personal to them. But, it doesn't always fit that perfectly well. It's like, we got to chew on this. But think about the process and conversations that are meaningful just because that's what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
So if our end goal is to have a meaningful experience within a family, like construct, that's meaningful right there.
Yeah.
Just talking about
just
it.
talking through it.
Getting yourself engaged in conversations about it out there. So I loved that one.
It forces us to get off autopilot.
Yes.
It really does.
Yes.
It's like, oh, no, we need to
People were talking about stuff last night they've never talked about before.
Yeah.
Couples,
This bothers you? I never thought, All right, here's another one.
And then just take that to your kids. Like, when those conversations start coming up, and even if they're young, as they, like, if that's built into the rhythm of a family, just conversations, and once a year, once a month, or how, like, we're talking about this, and you build it from this structure, it's like, that would be very impressionable. Like, you're literally instilling something into your kids that carries on. Yeah. And you're instilling in your kids to be problem solvers. That's right. I love this story my Meemaw used to tell of my dad when he was little. And, they're sitting at the dinner table, and he's not finishing the food. It's probably peas or broccoli or something that he didn't want to eat. And she did the old classic, hey, there are kids that are hungry in other places. You need to eat your food. And in like the most childlike way, he goes, well, let's box it up and send it to them. But like, and she said, all I could do was just smile because it was genuine. It wasn't sarcasm. It was like, he was wanting to solve it. Well, if that's the problem, I got peas right here. Let's go do it.
Let's go send it to them. But that idea of getting our kids excited about that, just so good. So good. Here's another one. This came from a family that's newer to our church. And this is what they said. Relocating to a new area can be challenging, especially for families with school-aged children. We understand the need for community and the importance to be connected to other families, churches, and organizations. I hope to establish and become a conduit for these families to connect, engage, and then be intentional about reaching out themselves. Yeah. So he had, his result there was, I want to see this continuing to happen in those people that we impact. Right.
And that person, the reason why that's their mission is they were touched by that struggle, by that pain. Months ago, when I was here at the beginning of 2020, before the world is arrived at this point where we're at, it was a marriage series, and I was speaking on a marriage mission. This theme of mission. But I said, our mission often comes from our pain. Our greatest mission comes from our greatest pain. And for us, now I have an overarching one kind of for our family, and we're still working that out, like it's just all a work in progress. But a specific one for us is the world of special needs, which I know we'll talk about. But that's something that, that couple has experienced the difficulties and the nuance of moving to a new area. I heard another one last night about medically fragile children because they have one. So
I think I have that one here. So this was their theme. They wanted to share their theme, which is, we have our mission statement. Right. And then the theme is...
It's just the tagline. It's really the why. It's the bottom line. It's kind of the whittled down version. It's I wake up with this and I can't be the person sometimes I feel like being because, boom.
But I got to remind myself of the theme.
I got to remind myself.
Keeps me going. It's Rocky Balboa training with Mick, right? I mean, it's like the whole...
the theme example is because when people, feel comfortable as themselves, they live out of strength instead of fear. That was someone's theme that I shared an example with. Yeah. And that's a theme.
This was theirs. So when parents of medically fragile children are genuinely and passionately supported, they experience confidence, competence, and peace, navigating the chaos of the NICU in the world of complex medical childcare.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's powerful.
They've been there.
Yeah.
Right. That comes from somewhere inside. Right. And what God's shown them through that, and then here's your why. Yeah. Like you put a mission to this, and that keeps things moving.
And I can, as you're reading that, I remember as they gave that last night, like I can see that happening.
Oh, yeah,
I all of a sudden transported myself into a hospital where I'm standing there with a couple that's feeling this fear and, uncertainty, and I'm seeing someone come alongside of them to give some confidence, or maybe in a room in their house when they feel like I can't do this anymore. The reason I can see it is because I've been there,
right?
To a degree. But you can see these things happening. These are engaging stories. These are compelling stories, and people will be living greater lives because of it.
Yeah, there was there's one more. It said this, when people are going through tough times or hardships, we will love them the way God loves us, while being a family with a strong foundation, so one day they can be a light for others.
Yeah.
And then that was their mission statement, right? And then their theme, they shared their theme, and I was like, this was really good. They said, we open our home and love others the way God loves us. Foster children will be able to truly be children and experience safety, security, and necessary to survive, or to thrive and not perpetuate the cycle.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you're like, okay, and then boom, they were like, no, foster care. That's what's on our heart.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that so they don't perpetuate the cycle.
That's right.
So that we see them. I mean, that was just so
powerful.
So powerful.
You see change happening, and I think that's, and if I can just say something about the foundation, last night I just shared this is a business framework. I contextualized it to where we were, and then I added my own, Jesus principle foundation for the room we were in, but this is also my worldview.
Yeah,
that
sure.
The greatest command was to love God. The question has always been, how do I do that? And Jesus clearly defined it by saying, by the way you love one another, loving your neighbor as yourself, like over and over. If you wanted something for you, grab the initiative and do it for others. And then Paul said it too. All the law and the prophets are summed up in this one command. Love your neighbor as yourself, right? So it's all about that. And I think then the next question is the same question. Well, what do I do? What does that look like, right? And I think there's just incredible freedom, and God's given us creativity, and he's given us responsibility, and he's given opportunity right around us. So I was really just encouraging people to set themselves free to create what that commandment looks like for their family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love God, yeah. How? Well, we're going to do it by loving military families, new families to a community, foster children, special needs families, right?
Absolutely.
That is loving God.
Yeah.
And if, I mean, to me, that's the foundation of it all. That's the why of it all. That's the because of it all. That is the, we're just creating definitions of what that looks like, because we know God cares about it. And instead of sitting around arguing over theology, we're just going to go do things that God cares about.
Yeah. You guys sit back there and argue. Yeah. We're going to go attack the hill.
That's right.
And I think we need
we're going to
more
solve
of that.
problems that
we're
God
solve problems,
has actually given us the opportunity and responsibility to do it. And I think that's the other thing. People oftentimes mix up sovereignty conversations. Well, there's just stuff out of our control. Well, there's more in our control than we take control of. Far more to focus on than the things that are out of our control, that are hard at times, that we can't control. And I get it. We're living in one of those times. The whole world is. Yeah. But that doesn't negate our responsibility to do something. Don't let fate write your story. It's that's what Don Miller loves to say. And
don't let fate write it. Yeah.
Greatest quotes. They're a terrible screenwriter for a good story. So don't do it. Don't throw it up to chance. And I don't like it when Christians kind of go, well, it's just not God's will. And I'm like, wrong. Yeah. Don't play that game. Yeah. Take responsibility. Put one foot in front of the other. Do one thing that you can do. So,
and they're hard decisions. They're hard decisions.
They are.
They're risky. They're difficult. I mean, churches right now, or families right now, are making those decisions, even with this COVID thing we're going through. Like,
well, even a lot of things like, what do churches do? Like, hey, while we don't know, why don't you go do something with what you have, right? Instead of wait around to see what other people are doing. Like, what can you do? And you'll fill up your time, and you'll fill up your mental and emotional space with something far more satisfying, which is mission focused and doing something than this wandering and waiting that you don't have to do.
Right. And again, I can't help but like dream out. Yeah. Right. What if we as believers got so good at this that a mom putting her kid up for adoption goes, I pray they get in a Christian foster home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know Jesus.
Right.
I've never really been to church. I can't support this child, but I pray they get in a foster home with people on mission.
Yes.
Right. I don't know, but I have a special needs child. I don't know what to do next. I really need to go to church.
Yep.
Because I know at church there's people there that are a community that are going to support me and help me walk through. Like,
I've heard they care about people like me.
Exactly.
Right.
I've heard, and that is, by this all people will know that you are my disciples, by the way you love one another.
That's it.
That was Jesus in the huddle going, hey guys.
Right. So define your love for one another by creating a family mission in this context. Just go do it. And so that was one of the statements I said, was just take your creativity and responsibility and create a mission for your family.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk through one of the things I wanted you to unpack. We mentioned it a little bit over. How have you experienced this in your own family? And you've talked a little bit about your walk with special needs. And I'm always intrigued when you talk about, like, here's one of the problems that I see when it comes to this area. And here's how I want to be a part of this solution. So unpack a little bit of that as much as you know, as you're comfortable unpacking.
Yeah. So, I mean, as I said, some of our greatest missions come from our greatest pain. That's why many people go into ministry, because they find something that someone who loved and cared about them brought them to Jesus. Right. So, or they just saw the difference that, my youth pastor made such a difference in my life. It was really my only on paper reason for wanting to go into ministry. That was me, literally.
Yeah.
And now, we're in a phase of life where it's like, okay, what are we experiencing? And when we stepped away from leading churches, conventionally, even though I still feel just as much of a part of ministry and, being a pastor. But Hope, our oldest daughter, she's 19, just graduated. In the world of special needs, when she was young, she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. When she was born, she stopped breathing, caused a gap in her brain, and that's what, the CP is a very broad spectrum.
Sure.
Her disability is more mental and emotional.
Okay.
And, it's just, we always have known we wanted to do something in that space, but we didn't know how, and we honestly still just trying to survive, so we don't feel like we can contribute much. But as we have just had some more, like we haven't had the pressure of leading a specific organization, and it's just given us some time of reflection. Plus, every day we're faced with, she's graduated now, and while she has this transition academy she's a part of that can go until she's 22, which most communities have this through their public school system, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
The downfall is this: when you become an adult as an individual with special needs, your opportunities drop off the cliff at age 22, which means parents are scrambling.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it's coming, but nobody's prepared.
Right.
And most adults with special needs are living with their aging parents. And while that might seem good, and many parents think it's the best and it's great for now, that has an expiration date, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
And I would also fight to say, not all, but so many cases, it's not the best environment. When Hope is in an environment that's designed specifically for her, not unlike you and I.
Right, yeah, exactly.
She thrives. She grows. She does things I never thought she would. We sent her to a camp for 7 weeks, and I fought doing that for 4 years.
Yeah.
Didn't want to do it. Let her go, and she came back a different person. That was part of the light bulb that started switching off, going, okay, what is she going to do? So what if we started building communities for these individuals to live with just enough oversight? Now, there's a lot of specifics within that, because we would build one off of the ability category, not a diagnosis category. And she's been given to us. So that's our stewardship. We would build it off of her ability category. And as we've been in this process for 6 to 9 months now this year, just really thinking, how would we do that? I mean, it is a daunting task. There are great places out there, but the really good ones, it's a 15-year waiting list to get in. It's $3,000 to $5,000 a month to do it. And most families just don't have that as an option. Right. So we want to help solve that problem. And I don't know what that's going to look like. I've been writing a vision, sketching it out, meeting with people, doing some research, talking. Like, it is unbelievable. And to do something like that takes immense capital. And it's 2020.
Right. Yeah, sure.
But hey, it's a problem that we're giving some specifics around that for our family mission to go, okay, we got to go after this. And there's even been some opportunities of joining up with not even joining, but like, okay, someone else did, like, well, it's being done. Do we need to do this? And I think it's a worthy question, but it keeps falling on our shoulders and on our hearts and in our hands. So we're like, all right, we're going to do it. I don't know when, been in the midst of a personal career change, but at the same time want to leverage that influence to go and do this mission. So And I know you want to see it reproducible. Absolutely.
Too, right?
So my goal is we want to build one, but these need to be across the country.
Yeah.
And, that needs to be a trusted voice for the special needs community. And so number one, the problem I want to solve is permanent housing. Number two, I want to solve the development of the individual, right? Because they can develop more than we think they can. And then number three, I want to be a resource to families.
Right. Yeah.
So that when you're going through the diagnosis process and your child's 2 and you get this label, right?
Yeah.
And then all you can think about is the rest of your life.
Yeah.
What if we started lifting that lid a little bit and help them go beyond their dreams for their child to maybe be further than just, well, they'll just live with me the rest of their life.
Right.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that's bad and that's so good for so many, but I don't think it's best for a lot.
Yeah. And when you're speaking from the seat of experience,
I'm living
you're living it every day.
And that's why I think mission is birthed out of pain, because we watch it happen every day. And I don't mean like every day is this terrible day. It's just like she wants independence and she deserves it.
Yeah.
She wants to grow beyond, she wants, and we want it for her, but she can't do it alone.
Right.
She can do more than what we can give her.
Yeah.
To a degree. So anyway.
Yeah. No, that's great. And then, so that just such a great example from you. And then last night you shared this and you brought it down into the room. And I think everybody could get it. And that's like one of the things we do. We invite the kids over that no one invites over, right? Like for you, it was like, okay, we're going to look at this and who we are as a family. That fell under what? Critical actions, right? That was that section there as we were crafting this last night. Right. That was one of, why was that? Where did that come from? How did that get impressed
initially it's funny. People would think, well, that comes from one aspect. So we have Hope, who's 19, and then my other daughter, Addie, who's 16.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when you look, like Hope is on one extreme for her age, very delayed. Addie is on the other extreme for her age, very advanced. I think you find that a lot with siblings, where you have someone with special needs. Because Addie is really the younger sister, but she's had to be the older sister in a different way. She's extremely mature, and so proud of her. Anyway, I just love my kids.
Yeah,
good. Sorry,
absolutely.
It's just a privilege just to watch the dynamic happen, and my wife and I are just privileged to try to, survive along the way and help them be the best they can. Anyway, sorry to.
No, you're good, man.
But when I think about that statement, I initially thought about it with some of Addie's friends. She has some of these kids that I know who they are. They're kind of trouble kids.
Yeah.
And it's a fine line, parents. I'm not telling you to invite troubled people over to your house and influence your kids. But there are just some kids that they just need someone to believe in them. And I sometimes think it's not the family to believe. They should believe in them, but sometimes as family we know too much. So they need somebody else that's for them, right?
Yep.
So let's just everybody needs somebody.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the concept comes from, is just there's just some kids that we want to invite over that maybe they're not welcome in some other homes. And I don't mean that every kid, or but the other piece of that in Hope's friends is that Hope grew up not getting invited to a lot of things of friends her age.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's such a just rock star, and she doesn't
joyful.
even think about it. She doesn't even, the insecurities of that don't really hit her. Every now and then she thinks about it. But, kids her age would do certain things that she can't. She's just not mentally there.
Right.
So when girls from elementary to middle school graduated to caring about other things, Hope still wants to put puzzles together.
Right.
I mean, I did puzzles with her, and we played with Play-Doh the other night. She just loves that kind of stuff. So when kids are maturing, so there's a lot of things she just stopped getting invited to. And, she's got some friends and we like to bring them along too. So whether it is, it's not about a category of people, but that principle is something that we're pretty strong on.
Yeah.
We want to believe in people and to believe the best in them. And part of our mission is helping them become the best version of themselves. So
Yeah.
You just think sometimes you just got to open up your life and be who you are to encourage them to open up their life and be who they are and be okay with that, but help transform that,
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So let's do this as we're kind of wrapping it up a little bit. You talked about 3 action steps for anybody listening. And this is when you spoke at Renovation a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you said, this is what we got to do. We got to make a decision. So we're taking responsibility. We're setting a direction, creating that mission, and then commit to the destination.
That's right.
So talk us through those action steps a little bit. Tease that out a little bit, because if I'm listening to this podcast,
right,
and I'm kind of autopiloting, right, this is important. I want to. If we're going to be that family that has meaningful experiences, as we talked about up top, here's our 3 action steps. Talk us through that a little bit.
I just like the first one, make a decision, I'm just a big personal responsibility guy.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, hey, you have to make this decision. I do believe we can, influence people to do things, but at the end of the day, you got to make a decision. Yeah. It's not my responsibility for your growth. It's yours. Yeah. I'm responsible to you. I'm not responsible for you. Right. So, the encouragement, which is the best I can do with that one, and the challenge and the, urgency and the stewardship I have to go, you need to make a decision. And that's just that personal responsibility piece. Yeah. I'm going to make a decision to have this meaningful family experience. That's your decision to make. And I want you to believe that you can do that you're not a bad parent. You're doing your best. Nobody's got, all of that stuff. So that's make a decision. Set a direction is you just have to set a direction. Right. Yeah. Don't wait around for the best one. Don't try to come up with the perfect scenario, and don't try to over spiritualize it or under spiritualize it. Right. Just set a direction. This is just a short story that I was impressed years back when I was trying to make a big decision for my life, and I was reading in the Old Testament, and the children of Israel got into the Promised Land, and they said, which way do we go, left or right? And God said, whether you go left, go left. Whether you go right, but just keep your trust in me. Which just gives the incredible amount of freedom that we have. So just set a direction. So when it comes to mission, if you don't know the long-term one or the overarching one for your family, just set a direction, right? Yeah. What is your family going to do this month? It's different. Yeah. Don't try to be all, don't try to be Mother Teresa in a month. Just do something, right? Just do something. Right. Yeah. Set a direction, right? Short-term, long-term. And then commit to the destination. That's that wholehearted piece that I think with all the options and opportunities we do have, we live in a culture of efficiency. And if I don't get what I want, when I want it, in the way that I want it, I bail on a different option, and because we just get everything so quick. Yeah. And so it's just, commit to the destination. And even if it gets put on pause, even if it's on wait, even for years, you're not seeing it through, still commit to it, right? Yeah. So that's that heart piece. That's that determination piece. That's the, we're gonna have a discipline to get through this, and we're gonna wait it out if we have to wait it out, and if we're halfway across the river and the storm is coming, I got to hunker down. I got to dig a little deeper in this thing rather than just take off. Yeah.
I think that's so true. I mean, I wrote it down when you were speaking. If I don't get it quick, I quit.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, it was like, and that's so true, man. Like, how many times have I looked at Amazon? I'm like, it's not Prime. Exactly. I can't get it in 7 days. That what Stone Age are we living in? No, I'm not purchasing this.
I know. It's ridiculous. And for God's sakes, I'm not going to get in the car and drive to the store where they have it.
No way.
I want it delivered on my front porch. Yeah. Now. Right?
Like you were talking about, I've never used this, but you're talking about Addie got your DoorDash.
Yeah. She does. She has dangerous. My DoorDash. Oh, it's terrible. Now, I will say she does ask permission. She's like, hey, Dad, me and some friends are hanging out and whatever. And now that she drives, if it's late at night, I would rather than DoorDash it and pay the, $100,000 extra fee to have to deliver it. But it's just like we just get everything. Like they don't know a world where that doesn't happen,
Dude, I can't imagine if I was 15 years old and all I had to do was make a phone call and Taco Bell would show up,
right there.
I'm like, 15 tacos. Let's
By the
roll.
way, we could talk about, I know the time's up, but we can talk about some Taco Bell.
Dude, we can
How about
talk
that Mexican
as long
pizza?
As we want.
You remember the Mexican pizza? I don't think they do that anymore.
Yeah.
That was legit.
Listen, I used to, I think John came and got me on video in high school because I would go to Taco Bell and I would order like family size meals for me and just sit there and just pound and pound.
Too.
I mean, look, everybody gives Taco Bell a hard time, but we all remember when you had $5, you
knew
was hungry.
That Taco Bell was the destination.
You knew where you were going.
Listen,
and it never let you down.
Yeah, that's right. Taco Bell and Rick Astley.
There's a special.
It just comes all the way back around to Rick.
Taco Bell, if you're listening, we have your new.
We do.
We have your new promo
and
jingle.
I actually wrote a jingle for Taco Bell. I don't know that I'm going to perform it today, but I actually did. I did this. I shared it with John and Tita the other night, and they said, you better record it so that you get rights to it. So, I mean,
if you record it right now, Pete, you will. I mean, it's done.
It's done.
It's saved. It's going to be yours. Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is going to make whatever your listener base is, that never want to listen again.
That's okay.
So I love to do prank calls. And one night, a couple friends of ours, we were all in this, we rented a lake house together, and it was late at night, and we were doing this prank call, and we called Taco Bell, and I don't know where it came from. I'd like to call it the heavens, but I just all of a sudden had this jingle, and it came to me, and I've been sitting on this literally for like 6 or 7 years or longer.
Come on.
And I just feel like it's a thing, man.
Yeah, well, I feel like we have to hear this.
You want to hear it, really?
Do I want to hear it?
Like, you see, if you like, I'm nervously playing with something on the table right now, just because I'm like, there's a level of be funny, Pete. There's a level of you're an idiot. But
Pete,
I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
Let's do it.
Ready?
Come on.
Taco Bell cinnamon twist. Come on in. You can't resist. Taco Bell.
Oh, I love it.
Come on, man.
Oh, I love that.
We're gonna bring the cinnamon twist back.
Oh, yes. Pete, that's so good.
I don't know if that's Rick singing that. I don't know if that's Thad singing that.
It could be.
I don't know if that's Jack Black singing that, but or Joey Todd singing cinnamon twist. Come on in, you can't resist.
I'm telling you, I think there's something there.
I'm telling you, they need it.
That's good.
Isn't that good?
That's like that's almost got that like 90s. Family sitcom.
Well, I am
kind of thing,
that's
you
it.
know. Like
that's my deal. Like ladies,
some Family Matters going on.
And then don't they have that? Talk about have that ding at the end, like bing.
You got to hit that note.
Anyway, cinnamon twist. Come on in, you can't resist. Taco Bell.
Come and get you.
That sounds good on this microphone, dude.
Oh yeah. I mean, you could put anybody in there.
You just
know.
Yeah,
I love it.
There it is.
It's awesome. Well,
what a way to end.
What a way to
Copyright
end.
Pete Hixson right here.
That's right. If we hear this, if you hear this, call the attorneys.
Yeah.
It was stolen.
Boom.
Stolen.
We put it out there.
Pete, I can't tell you enough. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
This has been a ton of fun. Loved hanging out with you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for your insight. Thanks for last night.
Love you, Joey. Love your Renovation family.
Awesome. Hey, we'll catch you next time. Thanks for joining us on the RenoFam podcast.